Well, Jim, our next question sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from Bruce Walmer in Springfield, Massachusetts. This is another one that suddenly has become a popular topic. I'm going to assume it's because of the recent appearance of Vince McMahon on TV. My question for Jim, you have the deciding vote as to who should take over for Vince when he steps down. Shane McMahon or Triple H? If you have another suggestion, I would love to hear it. And like I said, we've received several questions about who takes over after Vince, a flood of them since his recent appearance on TV.
Well, I could say, well, I'd like Bobby Fulton to get it. That would be great, but let's stick with what's realistically going to happen, and that's Triple H. He's going to get it, because that way Stephanie can kind of have it, but doesn't really have it. And Shane at one point wanted it, then stepped away from the company. I haven't had a heart-to-heart talk with him about what his ambitions are, but I don't know that he wants it now. At one point 20 years ago, Shane wanted to be just like his dad. Shane, as I've mentioned, is the McMahon I like the most. Nicest guy, great guy just as a guy, right? As a person. I think he was disappointed when he saw that Vince, because here's the problem. Shane didn't get the wrestling mind, I don't think, as evidenced by his announcing. And remember, I was his practice partner and broadcast partner, that little announcing stint he had. We did a lot more practicing than ever made the air. He didn't naturally, he got the big picture stuff from Vince. He wanted to buy the UFC. He could visualize big companies, big promotions. He got the big picture stuff, but he didn't get the minute granular detail of the inside of the mentality and the psychology of the wrestling business from studying it like Triple H did, because Triple H had to. Shane was in the family and going to school, and nobody was going to smarten Vince McMahon's kid up to the real wrestling business, because that would contradict some of the things that Vince was teaching him. So err on the side of safety and just don't have any deep conversations with the kid. That's not just with Shane or Stephanie. That's with any promoter's son, right? Most of the time. Shane he didn't have a wrestling mind. Stephanie, I'm not saying Stephanie did, but I think she was more of the kind of creative that Vince wanted. And then, of course, soon she gets, mixed up with, as soon as she starts a relationship with Triple H, say what you want about him, but he's a goddamn, student of the business and understood wrestling and psychology, both in the ring, in matches, and obviously in the locker room. He really understood the wrestling business, because look where he is. So of the three, and only one of those three is ever going to get control of the WWE unless Vince sells it before he dies, or unless they turn around and sell it right after he dies. And of the three, Shane, Stephanie, Triple H, it's got to be Triple H. He's the guy that's qualified. I'm not saying there's not people anywhere in the world that might be more qualified, although these days you'd have to look hard. 15, 20 years ago, there was a number of people. Now there's very few. But realistically, it's still a family business, and that's where it's going.
You gotta wonder if it bothers Shane, because I remember that brief period of time where Vince tried to play nice with everyone because WCW was kicking his ass, and all of a sudden he appeared at the Cauliflower Alley Club to get an award, and Lou Thez gives him an award, and he's like, I had the pleasure of working for your father, I had a pleasure of working for you, I don't know if I'll have the pleasure of working for Shane, and it's Shane standing there. That was what everyone thought. Shane was going to take over.
Yeah. And he did too.
And it's never going to happen, more than likely.
And that's the thing. I feel bad, but the thing is, Shane actually went out and did his own thing. That's when he left, when he saw that it was not going to come to pass, that he was going to be the next Vince. That's when he went out and did his own shit, because he had his own wife, his own kids, he wanted to do his own shit, and he had the money to. I don't know if we've talked about this lately, but not only did Shane obviously grow up in the McMahon family and, not want for much, but his wife, Marissa, her maiden name was Mazzola, as in fucking corn oil and margarine. She was already from a wealthy family. And so he was able to go out, but he, went out and did his own thing and hasn't had to rely on the family business, although he comes back to it as a performer because he likes doing that shit. When I saw him at the Hall of Fame 3 years ago, I said, are you going to take it? Because he had just had that. No, he hadn't had surgery yet. He had the hernia. He was working with a hernia, right? That match. And then he was going to have it fixed. I believe that's somewhere. And the point is, at that point, he was almost 50 and he's in great shape. But his kids were running around and I said, be careful. I said, doing all these goddamn taking these bumps and things. He said, it does get harder. I said, shit, you know shit, right? I said, don't fucking kill yourself. And then he either went out and took another big bump and then went and had surgery to fix his shit, or took the bump and caused it and had surgery to fix it. I can't remember what the story was.